How's it going, Raider Nation? It's JT, and I'm back with another video here to talk about my takeaways from the second preseason game of the Raiders 2024 preseason, as well as my gainers and my losers. Don't forget to like and subscribe here on the channel for more unfiltered silver and black content, and don't forget to follow me all along here on the bottom for continued fun and just entertaining stuff posted on TikTok and Twitter. But yeah, let's get right into it, wasting no time and talking about some of my takeaways from this game, starting off with the run defense being an absolute concern right now. 140 yards allowed, or around 140 yards allowed, versus the Cowboys, with 120 of those coming in the first half. Now, mind you, that first half featured most of, if not our entire starting defense playing for majority of that first half. The D-line got subbed out probably about halfway through the first half, the first quarter, but the rest of the half was filled with starters: Jack Jones, Nate Hobbs, Trayvon Moehrig, Marcus Epps, Robert Spillane, even Tyree Wilson, who's not necessarily a starter, but Malcolm Koonce Janarius Robinson as well. Those types of players that are like rotational guys or pure starters were in the game still, and yet they allowed an awful amount of rushing yards. And it doesn't matter what the defense does, it doesn't matter what the offense does. If the opposing team can run the ball like they have been against us the last 2 games in the preseason. Now again, we're not running our same defense that we're going to be running in the regular season. We're playing a very much more vanilla style of our defense just to get the reps in. But it is still an issue. It is not, if it's a pattern like this, where 2 games in a row where we're giving up 100 plus yards rushing, that is a major issue. And like I said, the same story was with the Vikings as well, and it just needs to be fixed. I don't know if they need to just work on tackling, if they need to work on run fits, if they just need to get off blocking. I am not entirely sure what it is, what's wrong with this just run defense, but it needs to be fixed immediately for the defense to be considered elite this year. Another takeaway I had was depth, which I mentioned last week, but the 2 positions I noticed it most is defensive line, because as soon as those ones were subbed out, our defense looked a lot worse, especially versus the run. No pass rush whatsoever, no run defense whatsoever. There's just nothing to see there on the depth. And now again, maybe it's just due to, like I said, the vanilla style defense we're playing right now. But it's a major difference. Tyree Wilson, Adam Butler, players that were on the team last year are just not showing up in the stat sheet like they should be, and it's just very noticeable. And then the second thing is just the defensive back room. It's super young, and you can tell it's super young. MJ Devonshire, DeCameron Robinson, Trey Taylor, just off the top of my head are names that are, rookies. And then you also have Chris Smith, the second or third in there, who is also a second-year player, and Jacorian Bennett, who's a second-year player. And there's just a lot of players that are either first or second-year undrafted free agents that are playing as our depth or even our starters, and you can just tell. Our defensive back room is highlighted by Nate Hobbs and Jack Jones, but highlighted and then nothing else. It's not highlighting anything. It's nothing of substance behind that. It is just pure young depth. Now, that means great for the future if they can develop, but as of right now, we have no one in that backfield other than Nate Hobbs and Jack Jones that are proven, at least in the cornerback room. And then outside of Trayvon Moehrig and Marcus Epps, you have, once again, no one proven back there to help them out. Someone that we have on the team that's just not showing up is Brandon Faison. Literally has not showed up at camp. Injuries or something like that has prevented him from playing at all, and I don't know why he's even on the roster at this point. Can we just get rid of him? He's not playing. He didn't play last year because of injuries. He's not playing this year. Do we owe him money? Is he going to sue us if we cut him? I don't know what's happening, but we need to get rid of Brandon Faison. There's no reason for him to be here. But yeah, that's my second takeaway. And then my final takeaway is that Our special teams unit might be straight up the best in the league. You have AJ Cole, who punted an elite 53.8 yards per punt, including like a 62-yarder in there at one point in the game. Just fucking bombs, nukes every time he kicks the ball, and it's just so awesome to see. Obviously, special teams you can only get so excited about, but when you have kick returns going for 20 plus every time, Trey Tucker looking fucking incredible. And then we also got a turnover in this one game. So the special teams was probably our best overall unit, which is great. It is awesome to have an elite special teams, and they can really change a game. We had many games in the past where we won games because of our special teams, and having a puncher like AJ Cole, having a kicker like Daniel Carlson, having a swarming special teams unit is going to really help with these kick returns, this new rule, and just, we can generate those turnovers and create more yardage for the offense. Less yards for them to go down the field to get a touchdown is good for us. Moving on to the losers of the preseason game 2 versus the Dallas Cowboys, starting off with the quarterback who lost the battle, and that is Aiden O'Connell. And it wasn't even his play, because he actually outplayed Gardner Minshew. He was probably the best quarterback we had that night. But the fact that he lost the starting job, it makes him a loser for this week. And I would say he lost the job pretty much because of that pick 6. That was a very ugly pick, and then it turned into 6 for the Cowboys. So it really was just, as soon as that happened, I was like, well, maybe Gardner's not out of it. Because before then, after that touchdown drive, I'm like, all right, I think Aiden just won himself the job, or at least got himself that much closer to winning the job. But if we're being real, ever since the Saturday scrimmage against each other, where Gardner Minshew seemed to have taken that lead, I think the team made up their mind at that point, or it's starting to feel like they did, because throughout camp we haven't really heard much great things about Aiden O'Connell. Same thing with Gardner Minshew, but again, you're talking about a vet, and I'm honestly going to have to stop myself here because I could go on and on about the QB battle. I talked about it yesterday, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit later because, spoiler alert, there might be someone in the winners who is a quarterback. But Aiden O'Connell lost the battle, and whether it's deserved, I don't know. We'll find out. But it's maybe not his job gone forever, maybe just temporarily. Moving on to another loser is that, okay, I don't want to say loser, but someone that had their stock go down a lot is Dylan Laube. Have not seen him do anything of note the last 2 games. Super hyped up in camp. Like, people are like, oh, he's great out of the backfield. He's looking like really explosive running. He could be a weapon in the return game, and he's like not even doing anything in the games. Like, he's getting like 2 yards a carry, 3 yards a carry, and that's about it. He has not caught a single ball really at all. He has not been using the return game much at all. And it's at this point, he might barely make the 53 depending on how many running backs we keep, because we have Zamir White, Amir Abdullah, and Alexander Madison all being really solid running back room. Not elite, not bad, solid. And that 4th running back spot might happen. And, if he's good enough on special teams, he'll get himself a spot. But I don't see him actually making any impact as of right now, just purely based off of performance in game. Camp is camp and game is game. If you practice like you play in a game, then sure, I will take practice into account. However, if you're playing great in practice but not in a game, practice doesn't mean shit. You practice how you play, and if you're practicing better than you play, then there's something fucking wrong there, and you need to fix it. But Jalen Guyton is my next loser, my 3rd and final loser. He played worse with more chances this week. I think he had 20-plus snaps while only getting just about 13 snaps last week. And he only got 8 receiving yards and posted a 59.5 PFF grade. And he didn't also, the same thing as last week, didn't play until like the 4th quarter. I didn't see his name pop up on the screen until like the 4th quarter, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right, Jalen Guyton's on the team. Now, albeit he was hurt for a little bit, but again, if you have players like DJ Turner and Trey Tucker making a name for himself, you're going to be struggling to get on the team. And a vet like him isn't going to take a practice squad spot. He's probably going to be cut and, quite honestly, moving on to another team, because at this point, he's just not worth keeping around if you have someone like DJ Turner and Trey Tucker just developing into really great weapons in not just the offense, but special teams. And special teams is something that Jalen Gillian just doesn't do. I would also like to honorably mention Andrews Pete for being a loser. He just sucks. And if Miller is still out, then we'll keep him. But at this point, he might be cut if Miller's healthy, because we don't need him. He's just that bad. He is not worth keeping around. Thayer Munford will replace Miller if he's hurt, and that's if Thayer Munford's still healthy, and then put DJ Glaze at right tackle. Or if DJ Glaze wins the right tackle job, keep Thayer Munford on the bench and let him rest up and heal his hand, and if we really need him for Colton Miller, if he gets hurt again, throw him in there. But Andrews Pete is not someone worth keeping around. He's just not good at all. Now, to end off this video on a positive note, let's talk about the gainers. Talking about Gardner Minshew winning the job. Even though he played like absolute ass, he was named QB1 on Sunday to start the season, which is fine by me because a vet starting the season is probably going to be better for us. You have all these weapons, and you have a projected to be a top 10, maybe top 5 defense in the entire league. It's better to have a vet back there dishing out the ball to those playmakers than a guy with unimpressive second year of camp. Aiden O'Connell has not done anything to wow me or really much of anyone. He was just going to win the job purely based on potential, and potential doesn't win you games. It just creates frustration. And Gardner Minshew, we know who he is. We know what he can do in this league, and I trust him more with the ball at the moment if we're looking to win now or win somewhat now than Aiden O'Connell. And that's just pretty much the bottom line there. Even though, like I said, even though he played like ass, he's a gainer because he won that QB1 spot. Trey Tucker, what more to say? He has been just fucking electric every time the ball comes near him. I mean, another 48-yard bomb, 66 total receiving yards, a 48 return yards on a 43-yard return as well. I mean, he's going to be used as jet sweeps as well, like we saw last year. His speed combined with just second-year leap, the league better watch out because we have a insanely elite pass-catching group if he turns out to be just as good as we think he is. Next up is Amari Gainer. I mean, he might be playing himself into a rotational linebacker role on this defense. Eichenberg is hurt long term. It's looking like he has not played a lot in camp ever since I don't even know when, and he has not played in the preseason game yet. The only other player in his way is Luke Masterson, who played last year and has been in this defense for 2 years now. So I don't think he's going to replace Luke Masterson, but if he can continue to perform, especially in the next game where he's going to be in the game probably most of the game, he'll play himself into this 53-man roster, and he deserves it because he's been fantastic in coverage, fantastic in the run game. He's been everywhere all at once, and he deserves to be on this roster. And finally, just a little honorable mention to Trayvon Moehrig, just because he's been and like I said, mentioned earlier, if you're practicing like you're playing in a game, then practice matters. For Trayvon Moehrig, practice has been great for him. Camp has been great for him, and he's showing it in games. He's playing really well, getting into the good run fits, getting good coverage stops, and I cannot wait to see his 4th year breakout. I think he's going to turn into a top tier safety, not elite, maybe not there yet, but he's going to be a good to great safety this year, and that's my prediction. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments of my list, and let me know who you have on there instead. I appreciate you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe, and peace out, Raider Nation.